Hey, soul survivors. I'm here with LAURIE SHEARS, and she has a story that she would like to get out. It's really healing to express some of the traumas that we've gone through, and she's been through some pretty extremely traumatic things. And I want to offer this opportunity to other people too, because LAURIE is going to help validate some of our feelings. And she has, I'll let her tell the story. LAURIE, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself? I noticed that you were reaching out on my Badass Counseling podcast, and I could tell that something is eating at you. And I reached out to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So starting out, I know you had said that several people tried to kill you, and you said including my mother. What was your upbringing like?
Oh, my upbringing was hell for me. Always drinking and drugs involved in the life. Um, Multiple men in my mother's life. Multiple babysitters. My earliest memory was age 2.
Okay. Wow. A lot of
And
us don't have that early of a memory.
yeah, and it's only a brief memory, but I remember my stepdad, and we always called him Uncle, but I can't even remember the guy's name now. I remember H.
Okay.
Um, but I remember being in a crib with my sister, who's just a year younger than me, and both of us getting bottles with amber liquid in it.
Oh, probably
I
not
remember
apple
that.
juice.
Pardon me.
Was it apple juice or something different?
I'm figuring it was alcohol because it's a memory that's prominent to me.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't
'Cause-
remember. Did I get milk? Did I get juice, lemonade, whatever? And maybe, because I know some people will do that where they want their child to go to sleep or the child to go to sleep, and they will put some alcohol in it. And this was your stepfather who did that?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember the color.
Um,
You remember the taste. Was it a sweet taste?
I don't remember the taste. I just remember the color, and boom, the memory's gone.
Okay, so we don't know what it
Uh,
was.
right. But as I got older and I learned he was a child molester,
Oh,
and I am one of his
one of his,
victims.
was your sister also?
Yeah, I believe she was. I mean, because we were both in the same crib that night that I remember.
Do you think it started at age 2, or were you older than that?
Actually, I think it could have started much younger. I'm not sure because of things I've heard from others, including my mother. But things also add up to where my mother's involved with it too.
How was your mom involved? Like allowing it,
Well,
or participating?
I think she was not paying enough attention.
Okay.
But
What,
the part I think she was involved is being one of them trying to kill me as an infant.
what happened there?
She told me a story of catching one of her friends trying to drown me. But as I got to thinking about it, why would her friend try to drown me?
Hmm.
It doesn't sound right.
Was she babysitting you, or yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound right, but a little bit more into the story. Was the lady babysitting you or possibly frustrated?
My mother didn't say. She just said she walked into the bathroom and found someone trying to drown me, one of her friends.
Okay. For one,
But in my mind, through all the years and learning and remembering, my gut tells me it was my own mother.
yeah, it might have been, because I know I have a channel, my channel deals with narcissism. They make up stories, or my friend likes to drink alcohol. My friend likes Coke, and they might say that. So, do you have any Coke? So, and they don't want to out themselves until they know it's safe, or they just want a scapegoat. So, very,
Correct.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a scapegoat. A narcissist, not that your mom had something going on, I'm sure, but a narcissist will let little pieces of truth out. The drowning, possible drowning, that was truth. In the bathroom, that was the truth. Possibly the other stuff. And you said other people too tried to kill you. And then it got to a point where you were struggling. And can you share what you shared with me right before we started, where we went live?
Oh, on how I did commit suicide
Yeah.
last year in March, at the end of the month of March, after my 53rd birthday. I got super depressed. I was in an isolated area. I was being isolated. I tried reaching out, but it was hard to get to people from where I was because I was not here in my hometown.
Okay.
So where I was, I couldn't get the help I needed. I took over 5,000 milligrams of sleeping pills and drank whiskey and beer.
And that's a
Um,
common way for women to try to do that. And I know I asked you, because you said that you committed suicide and they had to revive you several times. So I do want to talk a little bit about that, but I also asked you, are you angry or thankful that you're still here? Can you let us know that thought process way back in how it
the
started?
thought process way back in March. Well, April is when I was in the hospital. I came out of the coma. Um,
How long were you in the coma for?
I like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
Um, I when I went, I knew what I was doing because I wanted to end everything. So, because I just didn't have anyone, because I was disowned by my own family, even my own children. So, I mean, it was real hard for me. So I just took the pills, and I guess I pretty much saved my own life.
What do you mean you
Cause
say?
I guess just before I died, I called 911.
Ah,
I don't remember doing that.
so I think you have an inner desire to really live, but the depression took hold of you. And
Yes,
I know you said that you were isolated. Was somebody forcefully isolating you? Maybe they took your car keys or financially controlling your situation.
a lot of promises were made because I moved up north to help out friends. I was to get paid and have them help me fix my vehicle while I work on taking care of myself and helping the lady of the house out.
Okay.
Well, it turned out the man of the house actually wanted to molest me, but his way of saying it is, I'll be your sugar daddy.
And
Because
when money's tight too, a lot of times they think that they can just buy you. And
yes,
that's kind of what it sounded like. Like, let me do what I want and I'll give you 50 bucks, you know. Um, yeah. So did you escape from that or was there abuse that happened?
actually, I put him in his place right in front of his wife
Good.
in many areas, and he tried to say it was all in fun. And I told him, when you're actually getting pissed about it right now, tells me you weren't doing it in fun, you were serious. And how many other women? Oh, by the way, my ex sister in law is one of them. And 2 days later, my ex sister in law and one of her cousins were online with us and confronted him together.
Oh, did he own up to it or did he deny it?
Oh, he kept denying
Yeah, that's very common.
it. Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to report things like that, is a lot of times, it's he said, she said, and who are they going to believe? And unless you have actual evidence, did you get a rape kit? Was there evidence to be found? Maybe sometimes you can't find certain evidence. So
Right.
I know you said that you started going through like a depression. Was it more loneliness, or was it your thoughts from the past, or feeling of I'm not good enough? What kind of thoughts were going through your head that brought you
Oh
down?
my God. Everything. I'm not good enough. Everyone hates me. Why should I be living? Because I'm nothing. No one wants me around unless they can use me one way or another or abuse me.
So when your
So,
children disowned you, I know sometimes when we have been abused, that sometimes we might react certain ways, or we might be caught up in our emotions. We might not realize what somebody else needs. Maybe we're dismissive sometimes. Do you think that was the case, or do you think that they just wanted you for money, or what do you think their perception was? Not necessarily what the truth is. What do you think their perception was?
sweetheart, that's a whole nother podcast.
And we're doing a series. So right, we will definitely,
But let's put it this way, I wasn't the greatest of moms. Yes, I screwed up. I made a lot of mistakes.
and that's common, when we have our
Yes.
own trials too, and that's why there is a point where we do need to give some grace to people. You took accountability. You weren't hemming and hawing around it or saying, well, the kids are just spoiled brats. They don't understand. So there's hope for you. There is definitely hope for you. But if it's a narcissist, they're like, fuck them, the spoiled brats. And, so,
Right. No, and to me, I cried every time I couldn't do right by my kids or if I went and did wrong.
right.
Good example. I'm not going to say the year, like I said, it's another podcast, but I had a very terrible alcohol problem and anger problem.
Okay.
I ripped doors off the hinges
Oh,
and thought about strangling my own children.
okay.
I had to walk away, count to 10. I gave my children to family before I hurt them myself.
That's important that
That's
people recognize that, sometimes we do get overwhelmed, and there's no shame in doing the right thing for the children. Sometimes we can't handle it, or we need to take a break.
hmm
So
I
that's,
thought of my past and what I went through. I did not want to put them through what I went through.
and sometimes what happens is, like sometimes a transfer of energy. If your kids were like, but mom, and they get you riled up, it's that energy, they escalate it, and sometimes it's hard to come down from that. We feed off of each other a lot of times. The stronger we are, the less we will feed off of others' energies, because we're going to be in our own being. And
hmm
with everything that you went through, it does cause brain damage, and the thought
hmm
processes, or the reaction time, or the fight or flight. And some people will retreat, but I think since your stuff was so severe that sometimes you're like, I just want to fight back, like leave me alone. And you got to get back to that inner peace. Was it certain triggers? Was it your children triggering you, or was it maybe like a loneliness? Like, why don't I don't know your full story, but some, as hypothetical, I don't have a husband, or, I'm sick of all the money going out the window, but now I got to buy a new roof. Was it, what were your triggers?
At that time, it was a lot of things because of everything I had gone through as a child. Becoming a mom at an early age, like 17,
Okay.
not having my life established. Um, by the time I was 18, I was married to my first husband. Another podcast.
This is great. We got a
Um,
whole series. I was joking with her that she needs to move in. We can, we can just continue talking.
no, I got all kinds of things I can get off my chest to help, not only help me heal, but help others. I've
Because
got
sometimes we're
to
like, why
do
did this
this for
happen to
once.
me? Why did it happen to me? And we start sharing our story.
Yes,
Whoa, and that can kind of help break out the victim mentality to a survivor mentality where um sometimes when you feel so alone that I was the only one that went through this, it almost feels like the whole world is against you, as opposed to
yes,
a couple people and a couple people targeting this person. And not that it's right, but it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming. And we also get to recognize who our support system is.
yes.
And
And back then, I had none.
yeah, and that's when it's really difficult. That's why I do coaching, like you said, badass counseling, or there are, sometimes through our church or synagogue or mosque, or there are support systems. I talk about NAMI. I have a free resource video. If you type in my search bar for my YouTube, free resources, you'll get a list of free resources. There's also 988, the suicide hotline. And I don't know exactly how it works. You were hospitalized. Did they set you up with any mental health counseling, or was it just, hey, we're going to check your vitals. Once you're good, we're going to let you go?
Oh, no, 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 no. They actually sent me to for me, a high-end recovery center.
Okay.
And I mean, for
Louisville?
me, it was the only one I've been to. I tried to commit suicide 2 other times.
How long ago was that? Because this previous one we're talking about was in March of last year, not even a year ago. And how old were you on the other ones?
It was in '93 while I was pregnant for my third child.
Okay.
While pregnant, again, pills and alcohol.
So you were approximately 23 in 1993. And when was the other one?
Then again, I did it. Oh, I got to see my adopted brother for the first time in 2007.
2007. So 37.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have
And
the
then
same
again at
birthday.
53.
So did something about your adoptive brother trigger you? And when you say adoptive brother, he was brought into the family, is how he's.
Nope, actually, he was adopted out through my father. I don't have whole siblings. All my siblings are half.
Okay.
So he was a sibling that was born after a year after me, and to another woman, of course. And my dad and her adopted him out. So he was raised by a completely other family.
Did you meet him before then?
I met him in 2007 after my other brother from my dad passed away.
Okay. Did you ever meet that brother?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
met him because I remember him in as a child. And again, that's another podcast. Uh, but I didn't get to see, and they were gone for years. And then when I was 17, I seen those siblings again. That brother that passed, his twin, and our other sister.
So I
And,
know in our previous
oh,
podcast we talked about it's about the paranormal that you had experienced. I know you said that
oh yeah.
something about a table in your room with your sister was moved. So I know you have a sister, you did mention her. Were there any other siblings in the house? And also, how did you and your sister support each other, or were you guys pitted against each other? And how many years,
Um,
guys?
with the paranormal or with the abuse?
Uh, how many aged, how much older or younger are you than your sister? And were you a good support to each other, or did you guys argue a lot?
My sister was in the crib. Um, we don't. We've never really been a good coupling, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We're the sisters that are. Well, actually, I from what my mother said, we were always battling each other.
Okay. How many
And
years?
what I remember, pardon me,
How many years in between?
only one.
Only one. That's why. That's why you guys argue.
Yeah.
Competition.
Yes. And she's a prettier, one of the, I'm the nor average person in the family. Everyone else has the looks.
You got the personality. So, and we're all beautiful in our own different ways. Cause I even, for my viewers who are like, am I too heavy or too thin? I wear a size 5 and I used to wear 13, but I wear a 5, kind of like a Barbie doll, and smaller chest, but fairly close. But I'm 6'1", and I've had modeling jobs, things like that. Not that I can do it now, but I did. But my best friend's husband and I took classes together, and so we would ride together. And she's probably about 260 pounds and maybe 5'6". So she's probably wearing like an 18-20, and I wear a 5. And out of the blue, he tells me, I love her figure. And to be honest, you disgust me.
Oh,
I didn't ask for it, but he is saying that she is beautiful. And, I can go to a different guy and he could say she's disgusting. So we're all beautiful in our own way, is what I'm trying to say. So to get
yeah.
down to a size 5, 6, 7 doesn't mean that your person's going to like you. They might like you how you are. And same with, our faces or our hair color or different things like that, that our right person, that's her right person. It's not my right person. So we have to realize who's right for us. So you're beautiful. Don't ever forget that.
Well, well, thank you. So back then, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that it's within the last year that with work taking care of me and me only,
Right.
I have started feeling better about myself. That's why I'm able to do this podcast and the last one.
Yeah, you did great. That was her first podcast. So if you look up Laurie Shears, you'll see we're going to start a series on her because she's got a lot to. So as a child, though, what were you like in school? Were you the quiet girl, the good girl? Did you argue with people? Did you lash out? What kind of things were you focused? Were you able to do your work?
I wasn't a very good student when it comes to the studying and all that because I was um, picked on a lot as a child.
Okay.
Um, Part of my life was another horror story because of my mother and one of her men. Where I had some teeth, but my two front teeth knocked out in the middle.
Who did
I
that?
had a lazy, yeah, they did that.
Wow.
They were watching it. They took us kids to a triple X drive-in movie with them. They thought we were sleeping in the back seat of the station wagon. I'm the one up there like this watching the movie.
Okay.
And my mom pops up from doing the blow job
Right. Oh boy.
and pops me in the jaw and busted my two front teeth.
Oh, sweetie. Wow.
So I had that issue going on where literally in the middle of my front teeth I had a hole.
Okay.
And it didn't help that when I was about 5, I had corrective eye surgery I should never have had, which made me cross-eyed back then.
Okay.
I mean, my peripheral, when I started having kids, they warn their friends, don't do anything behind mom's back because she does have eyes there. Because staring right at you right now, I could reach in the back seat, pop, and hit all 3 of them while driving.
Okay. So looking back though is, a lot of times we're like, I'm not going to be like my mom. I'm not going to be like my dad. They fucked up. Either we overcompensate. We're like, whoa, I just did what they did. Are there some things, I think you've shared, there are some anger things that you've kind of taken on. Do you see that you took on a lot of either your mother's or stepfather's actions in dealing with certain things?
I picked up some of my mother's bad traits. I went from man to man trying to find a better relationship, someone that cared about me and my kids. And then when that failed, I gave up on that part. In that area, I followed my mother's footsteps.
A lot
It,
of
it was,
people from sexual abuse will do that. They feel that
yeah,
even though when they went through it, it didn't seem like love, something triggers in your brain and you're like, that's the only way guys will like me. You know,
right, right,
we feel obligated sometimes too,
yes,
to where you're like, all right, maybe I'll just kiss them. And then it's like, whoa, what just happened? Or you say no and they keep pushing and then you're like,
yes,
it just happened. So that's
yeah,
very common. That is very common. And that's why, for people who are struggling with that, that's why when we get stronger and put our boundaries and know how to do it and know how to walk away, but there are times that you are in a certain situation, you're like, how do I get out of it? Or sometimes you can't. And that's why I don't know, today's day and age is even scarier than when you and I were growing up, that
yeah,
I mean, I just had where I'm like thinking about dating again, and I had this guy, and I put the boundaries and said no. He was only talking with me for 10 minutes, and you could tell he wanted more, and so I got like scared. I'm like, I have to walk around him to open the door to get him out. And so I just gave him a hug, kind of like, so you don't have that rejection, because sometimes people react to that. So I kind of like a medium rejection. And when I did that, he just dug and grabbed and bruised my buttocks. But it's like, this is like 10,
wow,
and like it was like the most aggressive. And I think he just didn't realize how hard, but it was like almost like it was supposed to be just like a grab, but then it like got into an anger kind of grab. And I was so, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to date, because
oh,
it's really hard to see who's good, and I didn't meet him at church, but sometimes even going to church, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a good person,
right,
and it's sad how our social network is falling apart. We don't hang out with our friends as much, or go camping in big groups, and then, oh, I met somebody from our camping group and you got to know them. That a lot of people do that online dating. So I know that you said, I think you said first husband. Have you been married more than once, and what has your adult romantic life been like?
I've been married twice and divorced twice. Multiple guys that I've tried dating, and nothing's lasted any more than 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
I'm I I'm because of my past, I am a bit of both. Like I was, I want to be that. I want to have that touch and feel,
Right.
yet I don't want it right away.
Yeah.
I've been trying to make the guys, look, I've been too much of a whore in my past. I don't want to be that. I want to know you before I fuck you.
Right.
Point blank. Because if I don't like you for who you are, I don't want to fuck you,
Right.
because I want someone that's going to care about me and make love to me.
Right. Not just fuck you, but love you.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
whole different thing. And
Yes, it is.
I know a lot of times too, like if you don't put out on the first date, they're gone,
Yes, they are.
and that's okay. We have to start realizing it's okay to let it go and to not chase
Yeah.
after it, and to realize that it's not about us. It's not, was I not pretty enough, funny enough? That's just who they are. And if we want the right type of person, If we give in to somebody who just wants our body, they're not going to take the time to get to know our mind. And we really got to start learning who these people are, because later in life too, you might not be able to perform, whether it's because you're sick or medical reasons that, if they're there for sex and you can't do that, or if they can't do that, then the relationship's going to fall apart. But if there's that true bond, and you deserve that true bond. But I know a lot of times we self-sabotage. So looking at these relationships, do you think the issues were where you pushed the person away and they were trying to be genuine, or did you welcome the wrong people? What were your relationships like?
I know when I started having relationships, I had those moments of, all right, you're paying attention to me, you're giving me that attention, I'm expecting you to be mine because I didn't have that.
Right.
Then
Sometimes
to
we
find
get
out
so
that
excited.
no, we're just friends.
Oh, so you started isolating him?
No, they would isolate me.
Oh, they would isolate you. Would you say that they were narcissists that you were with, or psychopaths, sociopaths, or just selfish people? What kind of people would you, and not to
I think it was
diagnose, but to
the
get it?
ones that I was usually attracted to at that time in my teenage years were the good looking guys where
Okay.
I didn't look at the average at first and then but even the average or the well, non average. I don't want to say ugly because everyone's got the beauty like you
Right.
said.
We're talking like
So
societal norms.
yeah. And I've just had a bad issue with picking men. And I think it's more because I've never truly loved myself. And that's why I'm single and I'm staying single until I know I love myself truly.
Can you tell me 3 things you like about you?
Yeah, I can now.
Good.
One, I'm alive.
Yeah. You're a survivor.
Yes, I'm a survivor. Two, I do have people I can talk to.
That's right. And you touched my heart too.
Well, thank you. We're listening to some of your a couple other podcasts, and I'm not done. First podcast, I actually got it like that. I want to continue on every one of them.
Oh, good, good.
But yeah, what I like about myself is that now I can actually look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, "You are loved."
Yeah, you are loved. And sometimes we don't even realize it. Like there's sometimes on Facebook, I see people who just want to throw in the towel. And there's people that have touched my heart from a distance, people I've never really even met. And I'm like, oh, whether it's me seeing their core people, because I might be an outsider, but seeing their core people, like these people love you, or just the difference that they make. Maybe it was a picture of them playing with their child, and I'm like, that kid loves you. And sometimes we get wrapped up in our emotions, and like your situation, your children might not be with you, but you know, there's what is it, billions of people, 7 billion people in this world, that sometimes we might need to start over, but there are people that will give us a chance. And the more we grow, the more we heal, the more that's going to open up to us. And it's interesting how when we start putting up our boundaries, the wrong people are not going to penetrate into our lives. And it's the way that our boundaries go, how they protect us is even in just the way we speak. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're weak inside, like if I reached out to you and I'm like, you probably think I'm a crappy channel. You might not want to do a podcast with me. It's just me. But if you're bored and want to do this, you're like, what is wrong with it? But if I'm like, hey, it'd be great to talk to you tonight, it's a different energy that comes by, and people are going to be more open when you have confidence. Doesn't matter the numbers on my YouTube channel. It matters, what the message is, how we connect, and, the energy. The energy
Yeah,
brings it.
look how we connected.
We connected today, and we're doing a second video already.
Yes.
You were so cool. We had that video, and she's like, would you like to talk to this guy about, another paranormal thing? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, what? She had 3 other people on the podcast. It was fantastic. So I know that you said after you committed your last suicide that they had to bring you back. Was it a medically induced coma or just your body?
I think it was just my body after they brought me back after the fourth or fifth time.
Okay.
Because they said it took them a few times to resuscitate me because they were about to give up.
There's a reason you're still here. And the reason they tried so hard. They didn't give up.
There's got to be, like I said, 3 times I did it to myself, and I can't tell you how many times one particular person, like I said, it's another podcast, did it to me. And it's the first husband.
I know sometimes, we think we're in love with this person, and sometimes was it that you hurt over the breakup, or did what
Oh, this last suicide?
yeah.
Oh no, I was all by myself. That's when I was isolated from everyone, and I went to go help some friends. He was definitely an older friend because I used to babysit his children and help take care of them.
Right.
I even on him and his wife at that time when I met them separate because I lived with them actually.
Okay.
Also, this is one of his wives. They ended up getting a divorce. Me and his ex-wife became apartment roommates, and our children were just a few months apart. Our babies.
Okay.
When I mean babies, our last children. They were just a few months apart, same age. So I helped, and then later on in the years, his ex-wife, the one I roomed with, became my stepmom.
Okay.
But she became part of my life before that in my first marriage.
Wow.
There's a whole, I said, I could do multiple podcasts with you, honey.
So when you said you were angry, and then when did you start to become thankful that you're still here? Or is thankful not?
Actually, it's only been in the last few months when I finally realized the good people in my life and the bad people, and how I had decided to leave the negative people behind.
Okay. And that's
And
hard to do sometimes, but necessary.
I actually had to give up family members to keep myself sane.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times we try to hold on to things, and maybe if the person's going to change, sometimes they just can't. And sometimes even us, sometimes our might be too hard to overcome. Like if I was cheated on, maybe I can't let that go. Some people can let it go, other people can't. So no matter how hard the person tries, that trauma sometimes is too hard, and we have to let it go. If it's meant to come back, it'll come back. But when you were going through, you said that they had you in a good facility. Did they diagnose you with anything, if I can ask that? Or
Oh, sweetheart, years ago I was already diagnosed with massive major depression, major anxiety, When I was a child, it was ADD or childhood HD.
They have it now where it's combined ADHD, even if you don't have the hyperactive. So ADD or ADHD.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's the same thing because a lot of times girls present differently. You know, we're not running all around. We're more, but our minds are still blah, 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 going all over.
Oh, when I was a child, apparently I was all over because I was at age 2. I was told also I was put on Ritalin.
Okay. Did it help you?
My mother said it put me into a zombie mode
Okay.
to where all I did is just sit here like this.
Do you remember feeling any different?
I don't remember taking pills at age 2.
Oh, they did it at age 2?
Age 2.
Wow. A lot of times they might start it in school, but that's real young. Did your sister have to have any medications?
I was the only one.
Okay.
I guess I was a terrible child because I started running away from home at age 2 as well.
You started doing what?
Running away from home.
Oh. You were probably running away
It's
from,
nothing I remember. It's something my mother told me about.
right.
So
That's
she
hard.
said
Like, did I do that? I don't know. I wouldn't
oh,
doubt,
I believe I did.
I wouldn't doubt it because of the trauma that you were going through at that time.
And see, my first name, I don't use my first name. We're using my middle name.
Okay.
But part of that story of me running away, my mother said when she finally got to the police station to get me, I was sitting on the counter telling the police, I Trisha, I too, I run away.
Yeah, like I'm not messing around. I'm gonna do what I want. Now,
With a pair of high heels under my arm.
oh, really?
Only a t-shirt on, no diaper, no panties.
Oh gosh.
And a
Now, was it
guy picked
because
me
you
up.
took it off? Some kids don't like wearing them, or do you think it was poor care? Some kids will walk around naked. They're just like,
I think I got wet and I took them off or something because I was supposed to be taking a nap.
okay.
And a guy on the road found me walking around with just a t-shirt on carrying a paper bag.
Wow.
He picked me up, took me to the store, bought me some panties, took me to the police station. And all I know is I was holding that paper bag in my mom's high heel shoes. I, Trisha, I too, I run away. Eating candy and drinking pop the police were giving me. That's what I was told by my mother.
Did you ever tell anybody about the abuse you went through?
Not until I mean, I have, but no one believed me.
Okay. Who did you
I
tell?
mean,
Was it a teacher or a counselor?
mostly, um, I didn't say anything about my mom and the way she treated me because she was mom. When it came to her men, I would tell my mom that about them, and she would not believe me.
That happens a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's why viewers listen to your children. I had a friend who her husband was in the services and one of his buddies came over from the services and so stayed with him for a couple days and then my friend, she was like, you're in trouble to the daughter. You're in trouble, go stand in the corner. And that was like their punishment, their timeout area. And
Hmm.
the little girl goes, she's like, okay, but do I have to take my clothes off? And it's like, wait, what? Do I have to take my clothes off? So that's like, she started feeling like if I get in trouble, I got to take my clothes off. So that's how they found out that she was molested by that gentleman that was in their house because pick up on those clues. That was the only clue is this is out of character for her to go like if she was in trouble, she might say, I don't want to, or why, or you suck, mom. But to say, do I have to take my clothes off? That's not a common thing for people to say. And
You saying that there was one point, a guy I dated, he was very abusive towards me. But my second husband, while I was dating him, before we got married, we were, or was it after we got married? I don't know, somewhere in there. But my daughter came home with a backpack from school for activities to do for safety and all. And in her color, the book they were working on, it came to a page, have you ever been touched?
Right.
And my daughter had her crotch crossed. Right here I have. I looked at my daughter and I go, who did that? And she was afraid to me. I know, tell me, you are not in trouble. That person is.
Right.
She told me. And I looked at my husband, boyfriend, whoever he was at that time. He comes in this house again. I'm killing him. Oh, man was never near us again.
Yeah. And
And it
sometimes
was a guy
to handle it the right way, because our emotions start getting wrapped up, and depending on your tendencies, you might actually get yourself into a murder situation. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
good to contact the cops and get them involved, get a personal protection order. And even though we want to handle it our own way, that sometimes we do need to get law enforcement involved. So,
Well, when this happened, and when I found out, it was like a year and a half later after I had left the man.
right.
And I find this out. So I told him, you better tell your friend, and my ex that you introduced me to. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you just tell him to stay the fuck away because if he comes here, he will either die or go to prison.
Now, was he sexually aggressive with you or entitled?
What he liked to do was start a fight with me and want to try to hit me so he could have makeup sex because that was the best sex ever for him.
Okay. Some people get off on that. Yeah.
This one here, I stood up to him and I said, if you want makeup sex like that, you want to be on someone, it's not this woman.
Good.
I,
Yeah,
I
because
mean, he
it's reinforcing the abuse. Like, you abuse me, let's go get naughty. It's like
yeah,
gonna correlate eventually where I'm horny, let's fight. And then they get more and more excited about it. So that adrenaline starts going and it can get more and more violent and more expected or needed. It's a vicious cycle. So I'm glad that's a good, strong woman to do that.
well, this happened in front of my mother that night.
Oh,
Also, so he made the mistake because he invited my mother around to have dinner and a movie with us.
okay. It's like, huh?
Well, he kind of screwed up by trying to start an argument with me, and I'm standing in the living room like this. Go for it. My mother's in the kitchen with a baseball bat in her hand. Go for it.
It's like, oh, this isn't going too well.
He didn't see my mother the way things were, but I seen my mother
So
because
it
he was
sounds
like
like,
over here against the wall where the couch was. I'm over here by a bedroom door, and the hallway is down to my view of sight
right. So you're
where
like,
the kitchen was. So, because
huh.
my mom's standing there with a bat in her hand.
Wow. So yeah, there seems to be like possibility for violence in your situations. Uh
Oh, always.
Now, how do you feel when things are calm? Does that make you uncomfortable when things are calm?
I'm grateful when it's calm.
Okay.
I feel more loving. I feel um more relaxed.
More safe, more relaxed. Some people, it
Yeah.
stirs them up. Now, when you're around other people, I can understand that. But when you're by yourself, how do you feel? Do you feel safe and calm, or is that when your anxiety kicks in?
Okay, now that's the part there. I mean, because for a long time with my anxiety and being alone, for many years, I'd start flipping out. Oh my God, no one cares. I'm gonna die alone. You know, all kinds of things would go through my mind.
Yeah,
I'm not a, but throughout now that I've been working on myself, I can be alone with myself.
that's good. That's good. It makes a difference because there are going to be times whether we're stranded on the side of the highway or during this snowstorm that we're going through, maybe our friend couldn't come over, have dinner with us. And you have friends. Like, you surprised me with 3 of them today. So, sometimes we feel alone, and sometimes, I have friends that, I might call them and they're not available. It doesn't mean that they don't love me. Maybe they're just off doing something else. And what are some things that you've done that help make you stronger when you work on yourself? What are some things that you've been doing?
What I've been doing is what I want to do. If I don't want to go outside, I'm not going to. I'll sit here and binge watch a show.
Okay.
Um, my best friend Ginger, who you met earlier,
Right.
she's the one that made sure I had a happy home. If it wasn't for her after I committed suicide and came out of the coma,
Right.
I would actually be living on the streets. She brought me into her home and made it a home for me.
That's
So
a
kind of,
real good friend. A lot of us
yeah.
have friends that are pretty good. Not like that. You are extra special to have a friend that will do that for you.
Well, she was here for me right in the beginning of the pandemic. So, and yeah.
How did the pandemic
So,
affect you?
pardon me.
How did the pandemic affect you?
Oh, let's see. My job that I had as a certified peer support specialist, that I was working at went from full time to part time because I had to do video calls. I wasn't comfortable then on videos like I've been becoming.
Yeah, it can
Um,
be uncomfortable when you're not used to it.
yeah, and normally I wouldn't do them, but for some reason you made me speak out this earlier today with that ghost thing. So
Well, good.
now,
Glad it worked out. And now we're addicted. We're going to keep doing these.
but yeah, so I had an issue doing the Zoom calls with my people. I would start breaking down, and I did, and I was trying to work on myself while doing the job.
Right.
I even went and dropped from full time to part time and went from being a peer support to being in the building, in the community building, helping out
Okay.
that we had. And I was still having my mental issues, which they weren't comprehending because I was literally pushed through nearly 20 courses for this program for me to graduate.
Oh, wow.
And within a short amount of time.
That's a lot.
Yeah, especially after just getting out of the mental hospital.
Right. How long were you in I know you were in the hospital for a while and then in the mental hospital. How long were you in there?
Each time I was in that one, it was 2 weeks
What was
because
that?
that's all they hold you for.
How was that different than a regular hospital room setting? What was different about going to?
Oh my God, about this one here, the one here in Jackson. Oh my God. Um, One here in Jackson, they're up on like a higher floor in another building from the main hospital, and you're literally locked in there.
Okay. Are you locked in your room or you're locked on the ward?
Only if you're locked on the ward,
Okay.
and you're only locked in the room if you really screw up.
Okay.
Um, but I felt more like a prisoner there. The two times I was there, so I just said and did anything they told me to, just so I can get out.
And a
I
lot
didn't
of times
care.
too, people, whether, it's criminals or whether it's people in mental institutions, that they'll say what they got to say. Like, I just want to get
And
out.
I did.
And did, any, did they do assessments? Did they do counseling sessions? Did they do group therapy? Or it was just, let's get her calm and then release her?
All what you said above before that, um, they did everything they could to keep me calm. And I did what like I said, the first two times I was in, I just did what they said and said what they wanted to hear,
Right.
just so I could get out.
So
The first,
do you think that maybe if you would have stayed a little longer, it would have been helpful? Were their resources helpful? I know sometimes we just want to get
no,
out.
no,
No?
no, no, no. To me, they weren't helpful. Otherwise, um, I would probably wouldn't have done it again if it was that helpful.
True.
Look, the third time in a new facility, I'm doing better. I was in a different facility in a different town,
Right.
and they treated me more like a human and not a patient.
And that's important because already you might
Yeah.
be struggling with self-esteem and they're like, just go, here's your meal, get in the shower, let's go. Yeah, there you go, poop in your
Get
pants.
in the
What's wrong
meeting,
with you?
do this, do that.
Yeah,
We're here. It's like, okay, folks, this is how we're going to treat you. You're an adult. We're not going to make you do anything, but we encourage you.
yeah, that's good.
And because of the encouragement, not the forcefulness,
Right.
is what changed my mind. And my one and only visitor day I had there truly changed my mind on how to cut people out of my life, especially family.
What happened then? Who came, did
Well,
somebody come to visit or nobody?
I had 1 hour for a visit.
Okay.
I expected to get more people, but because of one person holding everything up, I was screwed out of time.
Oh, wow.
My mother. She waited until the last 15 minutes of my hour to come see me when I could have scheduled someone else to come see me before then.
Oh,
And then she only gave me 5 minutes with my brother.
yeah, that's hard.
And in the process of that visit, me healing, my mother had to make sure she rubbed it in on how many times, including myself, someone's attempted to kill me.
Why do you think she brought that up? What was the
My
con
mother's a selfish, self-centered bitch. It's got to be about her. You want narcissist? You're right. My mother is a narcissist. She is one of those narcissists because she'll do what she can to get her way, and then if something goes wrong, it's blamed on someone else.
right?
So, and I was always the backlash.
A lot of times, yeah,
I mean,
they'll,
I didn't. Yeah, I never had a childhood.
and
I
sounds like you had a very unstable situation with mom, many men coming and going, exposing you to things you shouldn't. Also, the abuse from when they cracked your front teeth out, that's pretty extreme, you know.
about all the many abuses from all the men she was with. All of them that molested me, beat me, never believed me. Their family members doing the same. Um, Even my own family members doing it, and me telling my mom, and nothing being done. But bringing them back into the house so there's a chance it can be done again.
And so I can see where sometimes, not that it's right, but sometimes you might be in denial. But did she ever try to like see if like, is this really true? Or she just thought you were making up stories to Like,
She didn't want to believe it, just like her own mother didn't want to believe her.
and that's what's weird. It's like, if you've gone through it, why aren't you believing your own daughter?
Thank you. So yeah, that's why. I mean, besides my mom, like I said, has always been self-centered. She wants it all about her.
Right. Did your mom work? Which,
Yeah,
eh,
she's worked in a lot of factories when I was growing up. Now she's working in some place in the Ann Arbor place area, doing computer programming. Well, she's actually the one that makes sure it's all good, proper before it gets sent out to be made. Hospital equipment.
okay. That's the thing.
So
Sometimes if she is a narcissist, sometimes narcissists are extremely intelligent. They can have
yes,
good jobs, you know. Some quit jobs like crazy. Some
with
go to,
all the abuse she's gone through, and I can say I've witnessed my mom's abuse and some of it. Because I remember watching my mom get hit with the ass end of a rifle.
oh, who did that?
My first stepdad, the one that gave me the alcohol, the one that beat me with a belt because I spilt soup on the floor, the one that after I was raped at age 16, he tried to molest me right after I was raped. I mean, within an hour of me being raped, he tried to molest me.
Did he know what happened?
Yes, he did, because I went to him crying because I wanted him to call my mom and the police. And he tried to molest me. Thank God his girlfriend was in the apartment, because when I screamed out, she'd come running and I told her what he was doing and what happened.
Was
She
he
like
trying to
pretty
was
much,
he trying to say he was doing an exam on you or something?
no,
Okay.
he flat out told me because the rapist, they had masks on their face, so I couldn't recognize them, but this part of a white face.
Wow.
And because I could not identify them, he figured he could get away with molesting me. His words were, "You can't identify him, so let's continue."
Oh, how horrible. How did they
The
get
police,
into how did they get access to you? Where what it was in your apartment or your home?
I was actually standing at a bus stop after visiting a friend, going to my grandmother's house because she was in Hawaii. I was apartment sitting. So I was standing at the city bus stop, 3, 4 layers of clothes on because it was in January. I got pulled into a car waiting while I
Oh,
was waiting at the bus stop. They actually took me to the area I live in now on a country road out here, raped me and dropped me off near my ex stepdad's house.
that's horrifying. Do you have nightmares or flashbacks? Trouble trusting now?
Trusting, yes. And every time someone I'm not a male I'm not familiar with, they touch me just right, I cringe thinking they want to molest me.
Yeah, and sometimes too, that's hard to start dating because we bring our baggage into a new relationship, and it could be a really good guy just wanting to give you a supportive, loving hug, and we're like, just we start pushing people away, and that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
important that we heal, give the right, and it's hard when we start to generalize whether it's a race or a gender to where we start seeing all people in that category or religion that we see them as bad as opposed to individuals. And that gets
Mm-hmm.
hard to start separating and weeding through the right people. Takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, see that party store that Ginger and I talked to you about earlier that we work at now together.
Right.
Um, I actually quit that job
When?
3 times.
3 times?
But the bosses keep calling me back
Okay.
to fill in.
They
But
love you.
at that store is actually how I got my last job as a peer support. Because at that store with the community here, I was the sounding board if they had issues.
Okay.
I was that peer support for them.
Yeah.
I used to be very open until I got that job. And then everything changed for me because I had so much pressure on me. It changed my mental health again
That can
to where
happen.
now, yeah. So now I'm working on it once again.
Yeah, and we gotta understand our limitations too. I
Yes.
know as a teacher, I see all these teachers wanting to quit. And I've had some teaching jobs where it was horrendous. And then this one I'm loving. So depends on the environment, the people you're around, the support that you have, also the amount of work put onto you. And sometimes, it is worth walking away or limiting some of our hours, our exposure to it. And the people that you work with, are they supportive of you? It's a smaller group of people.
Yeah, it's a mom and pop store. So the owners at one point owned both stores Ginger and I worked at. And at the same time, but now they own just the one store out in the country here. Um, they've become like big brother, big sister to me and Ginger. Well, to me, and brother and sister to Ginger, because Ginger did go to high school with them.
Oh, neat.
Yes. So now I'm just a fill in for those that call in sick.
Okay.
And one of those people that work there is also someone that's a friend of mine that I used to live
Oh, see, you do have a support system.
in this community. Yes. In Hanover Horton area. Yes, I live in this community. I'm proud of this community
Good.
because they are a family to me.
Yeah, and sometimes it might not be blood, but sometimes our family is through people we've been blessed with.
Yes, because I'll tell you what, a lot of these folks have seen me in my ups and downs because at one point they would open the party store door and say, "What mood are you in, Lori?"
So moving forward, with your depression and your anxiety, has it gotten more under control, or are you just learning coping mechanisms, or are you alleviating it? Do you still struggle with thoughts of suicide?
The thoughts of suicide I got out of my system since I tried 3 times myself and failed. Others have tried and failed. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here, so I can't do it no more because I'm just gonna come back. The dead
It's like,
don't
that's a waste of
die.
time.
The
I can't
dead
do anything
don't
right.
die.
Because I know a lot of people, they get really down and out. And the people that do survive, a lot of times they're thankful for it. Maybe not right now for some of my viewers, but a lot of time, as time goes by, a lot of them are thankful, and you start getting new experiences and new connections with people. And I know a lot of people like that. And I also know a lot of people who unfortunately were successful with the suicide. And there is hope. There is hope. Can I ask if you're religious at all or spiritual?
I believe in everything because there is something in everything for everyone.
Yeah. And, sometimes what our beliefs are. And I'm a Christian. I do believe in God, but a lot of times they talk about manifestation and different gods, or even just the universe. Some people call it the universe. A lot of times if we allow kind of either something going with us or guiding us, whether it's your God or your universe or whatever, that takes a little pressure off or gives you a little space and a little hope. And with the manifesting is when you believe in the end product. It's weird how it works, but if you truly believe in the end product, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of times it works, and it's the way you shift. When you believe it, you start acting on it. And you can't just sit back. Like I can't just, yeah, I believe I'm going to be married. Well, I can't just sit in my house and believe that. I have to meet somebody, you know.
Right.
But if you go forward in your day with the faith that, you know, you can be like, hey, how are you? And you're open to communication, as opposed to, it sucks, I'm probably not pretty enough and nobody's going to want to talk to me. It's going to repel people. And it's interesting, the shift of energy. And that's what we were talking about in that podcast today, is how I reached out to you based on your comment because of the evil vibes that sometimes you get in structures and buildings, and or
Yes.
and
People.
the energy. Pardon?
I get those uncomfortable feelings in the people too.
Yeah.
There's
Dog. My
many people
dog
that come
loves,
in like the party store. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to see that person again. That was bad vibes.
it's weird energy. And my dog loves everybody, but one of our post people, the person's across the street, my dog is barking like, "Arr," like stay away. And it's the weirdest thing because the person seems fine. I don't know what it is, you know, what
There's something that about that person.
they look
That's
clean.
all there is to it.
Yep. It's weird. There's vibrations out there, and when we lift our vibrations, we're going to meet people on that higher vibration. So if we're down low, like in a slump, that's who we're going to start to match up with. But when we're in a high vibration, that's when we're going to feel good, because we're going to match with the high vibration. And that,
Right. Well, my vibration has been coming from Ginger and another good friend of mine out there that helps me a great deal. I could never ask for two best friends. I got a male and a female best friend,
yeah,
and they're
perfect.
both great to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, we don't have to have a love relationship to feel whole. And sometimes
Right.
there's times we need to feel safe from that. Maybe it's not right. Like I'm a little scared of how some men are with sex, to where they feel entitled. You know, I'm a rape victim too. And, you know, it's hard to trust, you know,
It
and
is.
that's something to me that is so special that I just don't want that taken from me. I'm also scared of diseases, things like that. And, you know, we have to feel comfortable, and we don't have to be with somebody to live our lives. And the more that we can heal, the more full of a life we can live. So I want to thank
Right.
you for joining me. And I don't know what you're doing tomorrow. Tomorrow's a snow day if you want to do another.
Hey, if
I
you're
would
up
love,
for it, I'm up for it.
all right, well, we'll talk, and we'll definitely do one tomorrow evening. And thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing your story. And um, just take it one day at a time and think about the end product, that it's going to be okay. And
You know what? Talking to you is making me feel much better, knowing I'm getting it out there for others.
yeah,
So
important. So we'll talk
I'm
tomorrow.
feeling good about this.
Good, me too. And like I said, you're a wonderful woman, and there's something about you. I reached out and we clicked right away. So
Yes.
you got another friend loving you.
Yes.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, Lori. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye-bye.